listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
This was the one that we were working on. If you go to BIRT, I have something called help actually. Go to welcome. You can find tutorials here. Click on this tutorials. There's something on BIRT. It's not BIRT. I think we are in studio perspective. I think we need to change to word perspective that we can see tutorials. If you click on the help, you have a word report, developer guide actually, which is specifically for developers. Actually, if you expand this one, you see. All the basics, actually, all the basics. Whatever we will be discussing, all these things are. You won't need any training if you're able to access this thing, learning. Basics, accessing the data, binding the data, laying out of a report, displaying a text, formatting that, sorting, aggregation. Whatever you can do within the board, you have everything actually. Everything you have, you can actually consider this as a kind of final reference, and probably we will continue what we are planning for. We will take some of the examples and do. But you can take this as a reference and see what all the options that Workday offers. Where did you go? I mean the initial screen. Where did you actually know? I did go to help content. You can see. If you wanted to learn something on studios, you have a lot of tutorials. You have a lot of tutorials in studio also, but you can come to the BIRT and see what are the things that you are looking for. You have some tutorials also. I believe somewhere here you should be seeing some tutorials here. If you go to report designer, still, but it is still showing the details that are related to BIRT only. It's not when it comes to Workday, it's not at all giving the things that are related to Workday. What do you want? When you say Workday, what does that mean? Your word is a different tool. Whatever you are developing in that tool will be related to that tool. Workday will be. Fine, because when it comes to Workday, we can see that we can only use one data source, and that is a feature of virtual, that is not a feature of Workday. No, that's what. Because if I get that material, that is that activity guide, only I can go through because they will be having the examples that are only related to Workday. I don't think this BIRT information will actually serve my purpose. What this information will be seeing you is this information will be telling you the development of BIRT, actually development of BIRT. how you can actually handle BIRT requirements, how you can configure, customize your requirements with BIRT. Whatever the activity guide that you're asking, that will give you activities related to training. Actually, they'll be having their own tenant. According to their own tenant, they'll be preparing some kind of activities and will be getting you that if you follow that in the training, that would be relevant actually, because in training birthday will be giving specific tenant in that activity also. They'll be giving the tenant requirements and you will be creating something there, and the tenant will support that work. But whatever the activity they will be giving us, you need to recreate. They will be giving some installation files also. Some installation files, XML files, Excel files, and all. They will be giving. That is specific to the training. But when you go to that activity guide, you need to have all those resources actually. You need to have those resources. That is not there. If your tenant is different, you need to recreate them first, that you will be able to follow those activities that guide is referring you. But anyways, I'll try to find that and see if I can get to that at the earliest possible. I cannot. Say that I know I'll be able to get in an hour or 2 or 3, but since I need to find that one, I'll try to get that for you at the earliest possible. Meanwhile, what you can do is, if you wanted to explore something, you can actually do it here. It talks about the development of your BIRT layout section. After you develop a layout, deploying to Workday will be the final thing. Once you deploy that, whatever you have developed, you will be able to access that. That is a traditional thing that will be happening actually. Fine, then I'll try to get that active Workday for you. Now we have here two data sets. One is bank account, the other one is primary data set. Now here this is actually associated with primary data set, and that is the reason why we will be getting all the fields from the primary data set. Now I wanted to have data to be inserted here. I cannot directly insert, drag and drop this here. This will not work. Dragging and dropping, this will not work. But if I drag something here, that will work. Actually, that will work, but this will not work. Actually, the reason why is this is different. Object your system is not considering this as a similar object. That is the reason. It is not actually in order to have your field from the different object to be inserted in the primary data set. What you need to do is you need to insert a table. Actually, you need to insert a table and do a kind of binding. Then that binding will allow you to have the data. Here we have the parent table, which is holding all. The layout actually, and this is another table that we inserted to get the data. Now what? I want to have the field from the secondary business object into the primary business object table. Actually, since this table is associated with the primary data set, you have the secondary business object field in this that you can have everything populated in one table actually. What I can do here, in order to have this, I can insert one table here. Insert a table with one column and one header, one detail. I have one table. Here, I'm removing this. I will be removing the footer also. Now I have one new table. Created. What I will do is I will bind this to the secondary data set I have. When I click on the table, I have an option to bind this one. Go ahead and select your secondary dataset. And here it is asking, since it has only one field, it is giving the field click on. Now, once I click on that binding, you see here data. Parameter binding is there. Click on that and you'll be connecting that. Both the data sets with the row number actually I can bind it with any other field also in mind. I'm trying to bind with the primary data set. Actually, this is your secondary data set and this is your primary data set, which has all the fields actually. Since it is a primary thing, I will be selecting. This row number and click on then your connection is linked. Now, if you insert this, here, that should work actually. Now this will work, an entire thing is in one table, which list of primary data set data and secondary data set data. Here you were able to get country because you binded the secondary object to primary business object. That is the reason. We are able to see country got added in the same table that is connected to the primary data set. This one is connected to the primary one. In this dataset, you have the secondary dataset added, in which country was something that you added that came from secondary dataset. Now you combine or you connected your secondary dataset with the primary dataset with row number actually, that you will be able to get the data. If I print this one, I should be able to get the layout. If there is a data in a country, you should be getting that actually. But let us see. You can see the data is coming here. Here you will not think that this is sitting in primary business object and this is sitting in secondary business object. All your requirement would be all the data should be populated correctly is what your intention would be. There you can see data from multiple fields are populating. Similarly, you see something from secondary data also will be populated. What did I do now? I actually binded the secondary data set data to the primary data set, and that's where your table that is associated with primary data set is able to understand that and will be printing that value in layout actually in a PDF copy. That is a basic thing that you need to know whenever you are binding the things. Actually, in that way you can add or you can bind a number of data sets as a secondary data sets. You can bind them and get some kind of data from multiple business objects into the layout. Is a critical thing that in BIRT development we can consider because you will be connecting multiple objects and get the data into the layout from multiple business objects. Actually, now you've added, and you can continue to add something on the primary data field. You can add, of course it is. The table is primarily associated with the primary data set. You can continue adding a number of fields that you already have from the primary table. That you can add all the relevant fields according to them. But actually this is just showing you the data, but actually the layer development will not be this. You start with logos, your company logos, and have everything data in a formatted manner. Actually, inserting your company logo, inserting your any kind of custom images that you wanted to attach. All those things you can do and then start your data adding to the layout. Actually, for configuring the logos, either you configure in the layout page, also you can configure in the master page. You can go to the master page and see if your master page height can be increased. Nothing. It's not here in the data, I mean in raw. By raw, can't we see the data in tablet format? Which one? This one. This one. You can do the way that you would develop your table. The way that when you're inserting a table, you have an option now. Inserting a table. If I insert multiple columns, I can have in a table of format. Let's say I wanted to have this in 7 columns and 5 rows. If I wanted to have, I will select this and we're getting data in a table of format, where you can actually have that data that you can insert in a table of format. There, how to insert the data and see 9 values. We have to pick each field and drag and drag and drag and back. That's it. If you wanted to have account name, one currency. And in any of the rows that you wanted to have the secondary data set, the same thing. What? We did above, we need to insert a table and make it as 1 and in the table remove. Table inside a table. Remove the header and remove the footer. And bind this with the as in the same shape that we follow. Same go for binding. And have second, we take a set. Thank you. I have not connected the table now. That could be one of the issues. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. You can see you can design however you want to have. You can have this border. You can have this border, go to the properties and have it. And have your border set for each of the. If you wanted to go with each column, then insert your cursor there and have your thickness of your water. We can, instead of doing this for everything, just copy the format and add it for the other. T. Paste the format. Copy for other thing. You need to do multiple times. Just go there and copy format, paste format. In that way, whatever you have done in previous things will be copied actually. Only the thing that you need to aware is if you have hidden anything. If you have hidden, any kind of hidden formulas and or when you copy the format, those hidden formulas also will get copied actually. The thing you need to be aware of. When I say hidden, let's say you have any requirement that this data should be populated only when this condition satisfies. Kind of things that you have. If you have such kind of things, those to be handled that when you copy that or when you format this for other records, it will not be considered. The condition will not be considered actually. Now, if you run this one, you can see in this way. And the way that I have ordered will be showing this, but you can clean up as how you wanted to have to set your own way of defining border section and for each of the column. Also, you can write a condition if you wanted to hide any column. You can do that if you wanted to populate the column only when condition satisfies all those things. You can actually handle it column level also. Only the thing is you need to go to the column and it can say something called. Where can we write the scripting? I am showing actually. You can see this entire row I have highlighted. Row level. If you want to write a condition, you can go and see visibility. Actually visibility. On the visibility and hide element take, and here you can write a script. Actually. Here you can write a script. What a script that you plan to write. If row is true, if row is greater than 1, populate or do not populate kind of scripting you can handle here. There is something but expression builder actually. Where that should be in a JavaScript. Now you can actually have your table attached to this one. Now this is a parent table and this is sitting in an actual table. The data is folding, but if you want to have things to be populated in grids and all grids, there is a difference when you insert a grid and when you insert a table. Table will be able to get you all the related data. Actually, when you have employees having around 3 bank accounts, if you are inserting the bank account column for an employee in a table, your table will be able to capture all the 3 bank accounts. But the same if you are inserting in a grid. Your grid can actually capture only the current bank account it has. It will not be able to understand all the multiple things actually. You can, if the single instance, multi-instance fields and calculated fields or the fields. Types that we have in Workday. It prefers the same actually, multi-instance will get all the multiple values. No, see multiple table will actually get multiple values and your grid will not get multiple values. It will get the current value it has. That current value means that value is selected in the table, or that's what I'm unable to relate it. Now, what do you mean by actually the current value? A current value in the sense single value. If the single instance field is having a single value, it will be getting the single value. The same multi-instance is having the multiple value. It will be operating multiple values in a column. Similarly, when you insert a table, we'll be getting all the multiple values for a value action. The same if you are getting in a grid. You can take it as whatever the current value that field will be having, it will be picking up. Action. Let's say bank account is there for example. In history, employee had a couple of bank accounts, and if you wanted to get all the bank accounts, go to the table and add the bank account for that record actually. You should be getting all 3 records because employee had 3 bank accounts. Now the same, if you're getting grid, actually grid will not look at the 3, whatever the current one that employee is associated with, it will be pulling that one. Actually, it will be getting a single value. You can consider that as a single instance, not a multi-instance, be able to pull all the multiple values, but it will pull only single value. Maybe this statement, whatever we are doing might not be a kind of a good example. What I will do is, in my previous experience, what I have done, I have created very complicated invoice statements I will try to replicate that and see how we can handle kind of similar kind of use case that we can handle heavy. Customizations when there is a need for you. I'll try to find out some of the reports only. The thing is, I need to have a report with all the data layout, I think. We can create as how we want to have, but I need to find that report with all the business, multiple business objects we have and attach to the BIRT layout. I'll try to get a kind of similar requirement and see how we can achieve the complex BIRT layout thing and go in a proper way of attaching logos and giving a kind of header, giving a kind of footer context and header context, border context, and all everything will go as kind of a standard. That how you generally develop in production, go in the same manner and get a kind of clean shipment. How we can follow that one. You can consider that as a kind of use case for our primary use case for our session. And once we are done, I think once that requirement is in, you should be getting complete understanding on all the areas of support. I think in my statement I've done heavy customizations as per the business lead that covers almost all the cases, the dynamic test formatting the data, aggregating the data. Everything I've done that should cover all the activities that we can do within the board. Instead of doing everything in a layout, action in layout in the sense in the Workday system. That is one thing that we're doing, and I think you should be aware now. How to have related business object data or related data in the primary data set. As how we have seen now, you are clear on that, how to get the related data into a primary business object. We need to insert a table and have the table binded to the data actually, and from there you can actually get that one. And similarly, what I was asking is, you are clear now with the multi-data sets activity. Inserting the table and have the related business object and have a binding kind of. Similarly, you can do a number of things. A number of related business object data you can get in multiple business object. In a parent business object, you can get a number of data from the number of related business subject that you can consider as a child table from the parent table actually. Now, when you wanted to add a different data set to the report, but you have inserted only two data sets. Now we wanted to insert a third data set. What do you need to do if your report has that information? Let's add that and see how it works. What is the report? Payment rate. Thank you. We are going to add some company information under related business object called company. Now I want to pull this data into layout. Actually, it has built-in prompt, I believe. I think that cannot be modified. I think any marshal that one because they might have registered. They restricted this one. Thanks. What we can do is we can actually now, we cannot make this report updated because it is not allowing us. Now, if you make a copy of this report again, we need to update the data source for our layout actually. If we update this data source, we need to reconnect all the datasets and parent object to the layout. Until then, your report will not be executed actually because this is a kind of new data source. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, since we have created another version of the report, additional fields here existing. Data might not work actually because that would be taking the XML from the previous report, not from the current report. And the current report, we added multiple other fields from the different business objects. Update that all the columns that we added. That might not work actually. That little rework has to be done. Since it is very less, I think it should be. We can do that again. I just wanted to show how we can actually have multiple other data sets. layout part we can do less than actually. Now I wanted to update this data source actually. Now I updated the data source. Now, if I refresh this, I should be getting the additional data sets that I wanted to. Now I don't see. Even after the first, I don't see anything. Related company got added. But I'll go to the output column and see if something got added or not. We got company also under this. I think all these are related. I believe that's the reason we are getting company also under this business object only. How does company link to this one? Not financial document. Thank you. In labels also, you can insert not just on the tables or grids, even in labels also you. Can insert any of the field value. We did not insert table. There is a reason why. The first thing that you need to whenever you are starting the layout part, you need to insert a table that is connected to the primary data set. Then only we will be able to add the columns. If not, we will not be able to add the columns in the parent table. Actually, the space that you're getting here is in the master page. We have given this. There's a reason we're getting the space action and make some kind of address to this one. You can format however you want it to have and have your data to be populated in a way. Now, if you want to get the secondary data here, under the column, if you want to get the secondary data, what do you need to insert table? But only one thing that will happen here is, since we have not created any parent table, under any of the field, it will ask you to add those things actually. Now we have a table that we have inserted. Since I don't have any other parent table, I'm just adding a table and I will connect this table to the table. Now this table is associated with all the pairing fields actually. Earlier without the table, we added it. But if you wanted to add any secondary object data, we definitely need to have a connection between the table and layout actually. Now we have connected, I can add this field and also I can see if I can add anything from the related object I can add. I'm just dragging and dropping. Basically this company whatever added. That should have been populated in other case, but not this one. Now I have this thing. I want to have the secondary data. Insert table. Let's see if you want to have this. Work is a little slow. I think if the performance got down. Bring all the values. The same as what we have done previously, but only the different is we are actually inserting a table. You can get in a formatted way this actually. Generally, all the invoice statements will be formatted in a way. Customer name and all the customer details will be populated in this way. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@uptalk.com.